Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I've got my top 5 tennis shoes for summer and fall 2023. And if you haven't guessed by the van, I am back in Sharonville at Tennis Point USA, and I'm going to bother Nate, my buddy behind the camera, to let me steal a bunch of their shoes to do this review. Let's get going. All right, and so coming in at number 5, whoa. Jeez, is the Diazora B-Icon 2. Now the B-Icon 2 has some really significant upgrades to it from the first version. Even they look relatively the same. Now the number one upgrade on these that I think kind of brings them up a level is the toe drag guard on the B-Icon 2 is a lot like on the Tornio 2, the Blue Shield 5s. A lot more beefed up because, you know, the B-Icon 2 is meant for more of a really aggressive type footwork, speed focused game, and usually at those times you're dragging one of your feet along. So I'm really glad they brought up the durability standards. The standards these things have is more of like a performance and speed first shoe. The next thing I really like is kind of blink and you'll miss it, but on the medial heel here, they've really beefed up the stiffness in the ankle collar. So the shoe has a little bit more of a tightened suspension on it. So that first step side to side or front to back now is just really wicked quick, right? So whereas before, like they were a quick shoe, but on these ones now, they've got that really tight tuned suspension when going side to side. So your side to side speed, I think in the 2s is a little bit more improved than the 1s. So I think if you're looking for more of a speed first, performance first shoe, the B-Icon 2 is, if not the best, one of the best out there right now. All right, and coming in at number 4, geez, is the Asics Gel Resolution 9. Now the Gel Resolution 9 has not made a top 5 list of mine in quite a while, but with the upgrades from the 8 to the 9, these things I think are kind of really realizing their potential with the silhouette of the shoe. Now the 9s versus the 8s, number 1, I think the Dynawall is just a little bit more functional, and number 2 now with the heel counter being so much more supportive, the ankle collar being a little more supportive, you are really sucked down into these. Plus Asics really didn't mess with a lot of their rubber compounding and just the pattern and shape in general, the outsole, which is one of my favorite parts of these. So in terms of an all-around, all-court shoe that pretty much anybody could get into and play really well with and feel speedy, but also feel contained, the Gel Resolution 9, I think, is out of this world. Plus, it's an entire upper of polyurethane, so you're not gonna wear them down anytime soon either. All right, and coming in at number 3, who says I couldn't be a wide receiver, is the New Balance Coco CG1. Now the CG1s last year would have made the list, however they just weren't in stock anywhere, but now that they are being fully stocked in multiple colorways, I feel pretty confident putting them right in the middle of the list, kind of where they deserve to be in the top 5. Now number 1, the mid-top construction of the CG1 does give a really nice feeling of confidence moving side to side. Remember, mid-tops or high tops are not going to stop an ankle sprain, but they do give a ton of biofeedback, and especially if you are someone who is doing the splits a lot or just wanting to move super aggressively and want a shoe that has the midsole and outsole kind of undercarriage of a more speed focused shoe like the 996, but the uppers of a shoe that you can really go to battle with, that's where the CG1 does its best work. Of course, because, you know, Coco Gauff's signature shoe and the way she moves around the court, super aggressive, can slide, but also grip into the court when she wants to. I think these are just the perfect combination of aggression and speed, but also containment and kind of confidence and biofeedback. All right, and coming in at number 2, thank you, is the, we practiced that a couple times and I dropped them both times, is the Lotto Raptor Hyperpulse 100. Now, this is another one of these shoes that's kind of been in and out of stock a lot of places, so I really couldn't put them on the top 5 list sometimes, but even though these shoes are, almost like 2 years old now, they're still one of the best on the market, and that's just because the foam in the midsole, plus the containment of the uppers, the aggressive style you can play with these is just second to none. They play like a super speed focused shoe, but they protect you like more of a maximalist shoe, especially on the underside of your foot. These are some of the most supportive shoes you can possibly get with the dual densities of foam. So if you want a shoe for kind of like the complete package, these are, like I said, probably the best out there, except for the number 1 shoe. All right, before I get to the next shoe, I do want to take it on a little bit of trip through memory lane, kind of my history with tennis. When my dad and I would come to the Western and Southern Open, we would always come here afterwards to get all these discount shoes. Tennis Point used to have all of these shoes outlined here during the Western and Southern Open, or the Tennis Masters Cincinnati is what they used to call it. But nowadays, Tennis Point USA is one of my best sponsors on the channel, so I wanted to take you on a trip to what is now Tennis Point USA headquarters. Now, the cool thing about Tennis Point USA is this is number 1, a showroom, obviously, so people buying stuff, but it's also their main warehouse and creative department down there. So I'm taking you through the warehouse now. This is an area where they have just thousands of tennis products of all shapes and sizes, from tennis, pickleball, and even running and training. So if there's really anything you need in the tennis, pickleball court space or even training space, make sure you click my link in the description below. Thank you so much to Tennis Point USA for sponsoring these videos. Let's get back to the shoes. Now, the number one shoe on this list, well, number one was a shoe that I didn't even know was coming out, and number two had about zero expectations for, but just absolutely blew me away the first time I had them on court. And I'm sure a lot of you that watch this channel a lot know what this shoe is, but with that being said, the number one shoe is the Mizuno Wave Enforce Tour. Now, Mizuno is known normally in the tennis space for making more minimalist shoes, more light speed focused type shoes. However, with the Enforce Tour, they give you, number one, kind of Mizuno's pedigree of more speed focused, kind of lightning fast shoes, but also more of the maximalist design like things you see in the Lotto Raptor Hyper Pulse 100, in the Coco CG1, and namely my all-time favorite shoe, the Adidas Sole Court Boost. With a feeling you get underfoot with these, like I said in my review, almost feels like you're playing on a carpet court. Even if you're on asphalt or concrete, it's just that really smooth feeling underfoot. They glide from step to step so well, and even though they are a more maximalist shoe, they still pick up and move so quickly for you. So I know Mizuno kind of marketed these as a baseline shoe, and I know a lot of you in the community kind of sent me that article by Forbes or some of their other kind of media that they put out there about this shoe. However, I found that these were good for number one, all court game, two, serve and volleying, and three, yeah, baseline or kind of a more grinding or retrieving type game. I don't really think it matters on these what game you play because they have so many tools that somebody somewhere, no matter what kind of game or game style you play or foot type you have, you'll find something you like in these. But of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, what's been your top 5 shoes, especially because there have been so many great shoes that have come out in the last few months. This was definitely the hardest top 5 video I've had to put together, probably since I started the channel, just because there's been so many great shoes that have come out in such a short window of time, and a lot of them have been kind of pretty esoteric, pretty niche type shoes, especially from things like the Cybersonics, just a purely speed focused shoe, all the way to something like the Coco CG1, which is just like a complete battlers type shoe. And you know, and a lot of them are going to be great for one person and maybe not so good for the other. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to take a deeper dive into any one of these top 5 shoes, I will set up a special playlist up above, and make sure you subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam, and thank you to Tennis Point USA for sponsoring this video. I'll see you in the next one.